Hey, what's up guys, it's Darius, and Samsung just announced the Galaxy Note 9, and it looks amazing. Pretty much the perfect smartphone. At a second glance, Galaxy Note 9 is actually very similar to the Galaxy S9 Plus, which is a lot less expensive. So should you get the S9 Plus instead and save a lot of money, this is Galaxy S9 Plus 6 months after its release. Before we start, make sure you're subscribed and you've hit the bell so you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. But let's get on with this review. Since a couple of years now, Samsung's hardware has been excellent. Galaxy S8 was already very good, so Samsung only made minor changes. If you didn't know what to look for, you could barely tell the S9 from the S8. In fact, their fronts are actually identical. With the S9, Samsung clearly went with the if it ain't broke, don't fix it approach. However, a few hardware aspects were in fact broken and needed fixing, so that's what Samsung did. And with those minor changes, this hardware is almost perfect. Things were fixed like the positioning of the fingerprint scanner, which goes a long way. It was practically unusable on the S8 due to its placement. The scanner itself is quite quick and accurate, not outstanding, but over the time it worked well. There's even an iris scanner and face unlock. I mainly use the new feature called Intelligence Scan, which combines the two. It works surprisingly well, a little bit slow sometimes, but about 85% of the time, it did the job well. Even in low light, which was quite impressive. The stereo speakers were upgraded as well. They sound very good, much improved over the S8. They still distort a bit at high volumes, and they're not the best speakers on any smartphone, but they're very good. A small caveat: since the speaker is so small and located on the bottom, you can easily cover it by accident. Now onto the things that haven't changed. It still looks amazing, comes in a couple of really nice colors. The ergonomics are excellent thanks to the curved back. By the way, the edges don't really do that much functionality wise, but I just love how it feels when swiping over them. The buttons are super tactile and clicky. They're positioned a bit too high for me, since I have quite small hands, but that wouldn't be an issue on the regular S9. In terms of features, it has them all. It keeps the headphone jack, has an IP68 rating, expandable storage. It even still has the heart rate monitor, which to be honest, I never use, but I mean it's there. And it supports HDMI out through Samsung DeX, which is neat. There's a lot of things to like about this hardware, but as I said, it's only almost perfect. There's still a couple of quirks. The main one being the Bixby button, which is just completely unnecessary. I never use Bixby, I'm even still on level 1, and I do not understand why the button is there. The phone feels the same from front and back, and since the Bixby button is about the same height as the power button, I constantly clicked it on accident, launching Bixby when I got it out of my pocket. This caused me to just completely disable the button because sadly you cannot remap it officially. But let's go back to the actual hardware. Since it's built so well, it's quite durable. Of the last months, it's held up really well. There are no cracks or scuffs, however there are a bunch of scratches, especially on the back. Sadly, this glass construction gets super greasy and it's pretty much impossible to keep clean. Moving on to the display, Samsung just makes the best panels, period. And of course, they haven't made an exception on the Galaxy S9 Plus. It has an incredible 6.2-inch Quad HD panel with an 18.5:9 aspect ratio. It's super sharp, colors are vibrant but still pretty accurate. It gets very bright and blacks are perfect. When watching a video that's 16:9, it just looks like it has big bezels and not like that part of the screen is actually blacked out. Overall, it's just the best display on any smartphone right now. The Note 9 might have a slightly bigger panel, but quality-wise, I think they're both equally amazing. You probably already figured out that Galaxy S9 is more of an evolution rather than a revolution. Samsung even has to put a 9 on the official images so you can tell it apart from its predecessor. It has a spec bump, they fixed a couple of hardware issues, and added a couple new features. But what's the new major selling point then? Samsung advertises Galaxy S9 with the marketing slogan, "The camera reimagined." And that's a bit of a stretch. To be fair, the camera is the only real upgrade of the S9. By the way, if you were hoping for an improved camera on the Note 9, I have to disappoint you, it's the exact setup as on the S9 Plus. The main new feature of the camera is the adjustable aperture. It is the first smartphone that can do that. On its primary shooter, it can switch between f2.4 and f1.5. And it is a proper mechanism, no software tricks or anything. You can physically see the lens opening and closing. The Plus model also has a secondary telelens now, which used to be reserved for the Note line. Despite all those features, how does it actually perform? Over the months, it has been really fun using it as my main camera, and the pictures it produces are just amazing. I'd say definitely in the top 5 best smartphone cameras without a doubt. In fact, I actually just posted a video comparing it to the Sony Xperia XZ2's camera. Link is up here or also down below. The great thing about the camera on the S9 is that it's super fast and reliable. 95% of the time, you just need one try to get the shot right. That means you walk up to the subject, you grab your phone, launch the camera, snap the pic, and you're done. The images itself are very detailed and vibrant. Although colors aren't always very accurate, exposure is almost always spot on, and dynamic range is excellent thanks to Auto HDR. It has some nice natural bokeh, but honestly, there's no difference between f1.5 and f2.4 because the sensor is so small. I mean, which of the two here is f2.4 and which is f1.5? Exactly, you can't tell. If you need some more bokeh, there's the live focus mode, which uses the secondary telelens. It actually does a really good job, and in terms of edge detection, it's one of the best. By the way, if you take a picture in live focus mode, it will take 2 pictures, one zoomed in with the portrait mode effect applied, and one regular wide angle one, in case you want that picture, which is great. Speaking of the secondary lens, having that 2x button is actually quite handy, and I used it quite often, especially on vacation. The quality is also up there, pretty much indistinguishable from the regular shooter, at least in good lighting. The only time it really falls apart is in low light. And that's where the primary shooter comes in again. Because thanks to that variable aperture, it lets in a lot of light at f1.5, which it automatically switches to in a low light situation. Sadly, while the images are quite bright, they can be a little soft and have this orangey tint, which should definitely be improved. As a side note, low light situations are really the only practical advantage of that variable aperture. Otherwise, it's pretty much a gimmick, because while it is pretty cool, it doesn't really hold anything tangible. A couple of other features include the new AR emojis. Have a look. Yeah, I'm not even going to comment on that. So moving on. The new super slow-mo mode, on the other hand, is super cool. It takes 960 FPS video for a split second, which can, with a lot of light, result in some epic shots, although the quality is quite poor. Since it can only record super slow-mo for an instant, it can be hard to time. To fix that, Samsung built in an automatic movement detection mode. Sadly, it wasn't reliable, so I had to turn it off. By the way, regular videos are now in up to 4K 60 and look incredible. Here, have a look. Samsung devices are notorious for starting to lag after some time. After having used it for a couple months now, I can say performance was pretty consistent around the board, although it was never the fastest to begin with, and recently it did decline a bit. There were a couple of app crashes, it lagged a bit, and in very few instances, it even got a little warm under load. Again, not terrible, but not great either. One place where it always lagged was when swiping right to get to Bixby. And this brings me to the software. First of all, there have been multiple updates over the past couple of months, and it's completely up to date. Good job, Samsung. In terms of the actual software, it's pretty much the same thing as on the S8. It's a fairly clean UI, although it's far from stock, with many features, But what sets it apart from other feature-rich UIs is that the features don't really get in the way. They're there if you need them, but Samsung doesn't force them on you. Except for, again, Bixby. Now, I did not use Bixby at all, so I can't really comment on it. All I know is that it's supposed to be really bad. Features that I do like include dual audio, game launcher, some nice multitasking features, dual messenger, and edge lighting, which makes your notification look super cool. Now, the software is definitely not perfect. There's some bloatware and it causes the slight but present aforementioned lag. So it definitely needs some work, but I actually quite like the software as it is, and if the performance issues are resolved, I'd be very happy with this UI. Note 9 has the exact same internals and pretty much the same software, so I would assume that it has the same issues, but we would have to wait and see. Lastly, let's address battery life. During my testing, it was pretty consistent, it only decreased a little bit. With regular usage, it lasts about a day with maybe 20% left and about 5 hours of screen on time. When I used it a lot, taking many pictures or navigating, it died in the evening. That's a good result, but it's not great, especially for a Plus device. Now, I did use it on full resolution, so I could get better battery life by decreasing that a bit. However, I prefer to use the screen to its full potential. Battery life is definitely the one major area where the Note 9 is better than the S9 Plus because it has a 500 mAh bigger battery pack inside, which should last you a lot longer. When you do run out of juice, they both have fast charging and even fast wireless charging, which is great. To conclude, Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus is an amazing smartphone. It's sort of a jack of all trades. The build is amazing, almost flawless, with all hardware features, including a headphone jack. It has the best screen on any smartphone, an amazing camera, and good battery life. If it weren't for the slight performance issues, it would be pretty much the perfect smartphone. As I mentioned before, it isn't really that much different from the S8, but I don't really mind that. Again, I agree with the philosophy of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But that means if you do already have an S8, there's no real reason to upgrade here. For anybody else, I can really recommend this smartphone if you like Samsung software. The regular S9 is a great buy as well if you need a smaller device. The slightly larger Note 9 has a bigger battery, more internal storage to start with, and the S Pen. However, it costs $1,000 to start with, and the S9 Plus with the same amount of internal storage costs almost $250 less currently. So for most people, I'd highly recommend going with the S9 Plus and saving a bunch of money unless you absolutely need that S Pen. Anyways, you find the current price link below. It'd be great if you could use that link. That would help out the channel a little bit. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to smash the like button. Comment down below if you have any feedback or questions. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Link is also down below. And make sure you're subscribed and you've hit the bell to not miss any of my upcoming videos and maybe even a Note 9 review. See you in the next one. Bye.